섬은 한 번에 사라지지 않는다. The sea breathes as it always has. Laundry snaps into salt wind. Rubber shoes wait patiently by threshold. A radio murmurs from the depth of a quiet house. The jetty keeps its timetable, even as the hours are quietly crossed out. For a long time, the illusion holds. The school gates stand. Nothing collapses. The community center sign remains. Nothing announces its own end. But the island was already believing the things that were meant to stay. At first, we didn't call it a disappearance. We called it fewer children, fewer boats, fewer visits, fewer doors opening to the morning sun. The old recording echoed through the village again, a voice traveling miles before the truck arrived, a sound known by heart. The mammal song had returned.
두부, 콩나물, 오이, 호박, 느타리, 버섯, 팽이버섯, 양파, 양배추, 가리고추, 청양고추.
The truck was never just a shop. It was a moving room of recognition, a mirror for Ireland to see itself, a reason for names to still be spoken aloud. But he also brought something harder to measure. He knew which grandmother craved the softer fruit, which door had not opened since winter, which son had returned for Chuseok, and which had stayed away. The transaction was small. The exchange was not. That day, he spoke of stopping. There were not enough people left, he said. Not enough doors opening, not enough names to call. And he was getting old too. No one had learned the route after him. When he left, the dust settled on a quiet road, and the houses at the bend was quietly shrouded in white. Waiting was woven into the island's body, on porches, through windows, beside drying chilies, down on the mud flats where hands blindly searched for clams and kelp, and the jetty where the women sat together and looked at the horizon. They waited for medicine, for papers, for the weather to break. The island had learned to continue between arrivals. Then the vessel appeared, a dark smudge on the water, then a roofline, then a shape, approaching like a new island, willing itself into being. As it drew close, it didn't announce itself like a machine. It was the sound of something in time. Rope, wind, bells, wood remembering how to open. By the time it struck the jetty, it was no longer only a vessel. It had become a room arriving from the sea. At first, they came for the ordinary. A blood pressure check, instant noodles, soap, a document stamped, a film projected on a blank canvas, a place to sit out of the wind. The vessel opened, and the island stepped inside. But then, a door was carried on board, taken from the house recently wrapped in a mourning white. Worn smooth, where hands had pressed it for decades, faded by salt and time. It hinges still holding the memory of opening, too large to be an object, too small to be a house. They laid it inside, a bowl,
그릇,
a roof tile,
기와,
a photograph,
사진,
an earthen jar, 항아리.
항아리.
The vessel returned, season after season, but the tide was changing. Few chairs on the jetty, the clinic folded away. Things were no longer bought. They were left behind. The vessel hadn't stopped caring, its care had simply changed shape. It became the keeper of what the island could no longer hold. The final arrival were the Moscow routine. Across the same grey water, toward the same concrete jetty, but the chairs were empty. The road had no footsteps, but no one was waiting. The grandmother was gone, only her room remained, the shoes, her window. The lost fragments were carried into the hull. The vessel grew heavy, with weight and with absence. Water widened between the steel and the stone. The village lay silent under white cloth. At a funeral, the body leaves the house. Here, the houses stayed behind. The island left, piece by piece, through its fragments. After the burial, mourning doesn't end. It merely changed its address. The vessel did not sink into the earth, it moved across the water. A floating sangha, a funeral bier adrift in the mist. For a time, it sailed alone. Then, another vessel emerged from the fog, each carrying the ghost of a different island, different roof tiles, different tools, different silences. A procession without a road, not carrying bodies, but carrying the pulse of what made a place alive. They drift past seawalls, cranes, ferry routes, the sharp edges of industry and towering apartment, drawn toward the center. Because these islands didn't empty by accident. The youth had been pulled into the mainland. Work, schools, hospitals, premises, all hoarded in the center, in Seoul. Even care had migrated. The future had been taught to flow in only one direction, and so the island followed, high water. They converged slowly. Ropes tightened, bridges lowered, pontoons touching like hands. What the sea had scattered, the sea now bound together, forming a new ground. This is not a cemetery. It's not a museum where we stare at loaves behind glass. It is an archipelago forged from the discarded. This archive doesn't ask us to merely remember. It demands that we answer. To the houses left behind, to the islands drained for the city,
세상의 끝에서 고요히 기다리던 삶들에게
to the lives that waited so quietly at the edge of the world. The island was not saved. 하지만 조용히 사라지기를 거부했다. It carved a route back. 돌봄과 상실과 기억된다는 그 무거운 짐을 싣고서